I passionately agree. So I'm really
Yeah,
nodding
so
to
no,
that.
she, like the way she talked, I think all of us were like vigorously nodding our
Yeah,
head
yeah,
on this
yeah.
particular thing. So yes,
For
all
sure, for
women,
sure.
we know, and for the attendees who are watching us right now, if you could have heard us talking before we opened the webinar, it was literally this, that how we are also managing our lives at the same time. You know, Beenish has actually put her kids for a nap so that she could attend this webinar. I have put my daughter up there, and I've given her, I mean, of course, my husband's supposed to take care, but today is the time that there is no screen limit, you know, just be busy, just don't disturb mom. So whatever it is, you know, probably this is the time. And because I work a lot with mompreneurs, I can tell you that mom's guilt, there is a time and place for it. Probably this is not the best time to let it come. We are all doing the best that we can. And if you have a dream and if you have a goal, and don't put it yourself like, oh, it's just a hobby, like Wendy very well put it. It could be the next income generator for the business, for the firm, for the
You know, if
family
it's
actually.
okay, I'll just add very briefly to that. And like we said previously, we were discussing, it's a matter of pride, in fact. The fact that
Yes.
you have that time right now, own it, own your family, own your time, own your peers right now, connect as much as you can, because the relationships that you'll make right now will actually be the ones that will last through. And if someone knows at the back end that in this pandemic, in this unforeseen circumstances, you have people and peers out there who are with you, that will last. So you may actually come out with stronger relationships, with stronger opportunities. I, for one, have only met one of our panelists. I have not met any other panelist, and this is an opportunity for us as well. So look how we've come, not only being connected as well, but being on a panel together, owning each other, supporting each other, and also reaching out. What I'd like to mention to our audience, and I think it's being recorded, so anybody who hears it after as well, that I can vouch for all of us, and ItsHerWay as well for sure, that you can reach out to us at any time. I think all our details will be with the admin. Do
And
not
we
be
are on
afraid, even
LinkedIn.
if it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, even if it's not related to the profession, the idea right now, and especially on again on a weekend, is that yes, you should all be available to know that we are out there for you, and there are a lot of other people out there as well. It's not like
Absolutely.
anybody's the best. It's just who you click with, who you belong to, and who can help you out in this time. So it's just about reaching out. So
Beautiful.
even Wendy's completely right in this, that communication is the key. Even if it's communication within your peers, or like you're seeing a lot of memes these days that neighbors are talking through balconies. Why not? Have you ever knocked the door or now the balcony of your neighbor before? But you know what?
Yeah.
Why not? You may actually end up being the best of friends.
Great. Thanks,
That's
Bini.
that's my motivational speech.
No, no, but it really sounds like TED Talk. But yes, we are all in this together.
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, we have talked a lot about, you know, involving our peers and involving the team members and communication with them. But one very important aspect of running any business is also the communication with the clients. Now, at this point, when we are under this kind of a situation, you know, social, economically, people are not really letting go of their money in buying products, etc., because you don't know what comes tomorrow. It almost feel, you know, kind of pretty sharky to sell, to have a sales pitch. And
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Tim Robbins, for example, the other in the podcast, and it's not really the time to kind of say, okay, buy my product, or one of those, you know, the kind of newsletter stuff that used to come before. So what is the need for now? Lana, if you can please answer this question, that how can we stay relevant? How can we have a great communication strategy with our clients, existing clients, or probably generate lead with empathy, if I may? So if you can please discuss,
Yeah,
explain
so
that.
I would say there's a number of things. And the first thing that we would do normally is have a look at categorizing what kind of business you're in. So are you in something essential like food and beverage? Are you in something that's non-essential, which is like jewelry or travel, or maybe even like automotive? Or are you in what we call the new essential? And the new essential is basically catering to this home body economy. And then you become more relevant in that aspect as well. So if you're in the restaurant business or home deliveries, anything education, obviously with us teaching the kids at home, a lot of electronics, gaming, and so on and so forth. So that does play a role in what you would do. But let me just say that research does show those who do spend in a pandemic or a down market they spend on advertising, they will eventually benefit a lot more than somebody who doesn't. So that's the first thing, is don't stop, because once you stop advertising, then you stop selling, and that will hurt the bottom line. It's more around being smart about what you spend your money on and how you do that smartly. And as somebody said, is like taking advantage of this generous spirit. There's a lot of partnerships that you can make. If you're not 100% relevant in this market, you can definitely partner with somebody who is. So if you are in the hotel business, you can see them partnering with, yoga instructors to kind of bring something as well. But very much it's about creating the content now to your current audience. I think that's huge focus on who your existing customers. How do you maximize those relationships? And for anybody new, people are actually buying if it is on sale. It's worthwhile. So there is an element of buying, an impulse buying, that you can absolutely capitalize on. I would love to talk about as well what kind of media you would use to do that. But I think, think about your partnerships. Think about who you can get in contact with. Think about what kind of content you can produce. And as I said before, is keep that human touch and really consider that journey as well from a buyer perspective. If you like, I'd like to go into just very briefly around, because everybody just thinks, okay, I should just advertise online, but what does that mean? So when we do talk about online, we're talking about your social media channels, which everybody's aware of, your Google advertising, but there's a lot more to that. So there's a lot more in terms of the YouTube and other video contents that you can use. You can maximize your mail out CRM strategy, so sending out emails to your existing customers. You can do a lot more in terms of PR. So if you are doing something charity, whether it's making nice creative masks or partnering with an influencer. For example, we have the Mothership, which I'm sure most of you are aware of. So Helen Farmer, she's doing a partnership at the moment with a pizza company. So there's a lot of these kind of out there that you can definitely maximize, and it doesn't cost you money because it is PR at the end of the day. And don't forget what we call the below the line activity. So people are at home, that's where you can reach them. So, gifting is a big thing. Sending somebody a bar of soap or, a mask or something that's hard to get along with your product, or even something that's branded, nice coffee mug, whatever it might be. That's still a form of advertising. It shows that you care, it's relevant, and it is going somewhere where you know that they are. So these things, again, it doesn't cost you a huge amount of money. It doesn't limit you to only online if you think it's not relevant or it's hard to do. There are definitely other ways of doing your marketing.
Thank you, Lana, and some very, very, very interesting points there. It's almost as if compassion is the rock stone of our times at this time right now. So whether it is client servicing or client experience, or whether it is communication within the company, it's very important to come across as supportive and compassionate and collaborative. I think that will go a long way. And yes, you talked about influencer marketing. So if you don't reach Helen Farmer, if she's busy, you can get in touch with me too. I'm an influencer too. So that is what I do right now. Tough times, too many hats to wear. Money needs to come. Anyway, so the next question is to you, Bina, which is, what role would a good EQ play for entrepreneurs at this time of life, and especially for life after pandemic? So how do we work on the EQ, which is emotional quotient?
Well, I would say you need EQ at any point in your life and at any time. So please don't work on it just for the pandemic and let it go.
I think needed more now than grief, no?
Yes. And also with the changing kind of leadership that we're seeing, we've gone from the old traditional management models to ones where the leaders have more of an EQ and it's given as much importance as the IQ. So not going to take you through a crash course in that. Just to quickly take you through 4 of the important aspects that you need to keep in mind when it comes to EQ, which again applies to, I think, anyone at any time. Be self-aware. So do an audit of yourself and understand your strengths and your areas of weakness or challenge. And how does that impact on the way you relate to others? So when you're communicating or when you're expressing yourself, make sure that you're doing it in a positive way and focused on an outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. And then despite checking ourselves, no matter how objective we try to be, there are blind spots. And that's where self-regulation comes in. So it's advised that you have a group of trusted advisors who would lovingly and honestly give you feedback and criticism. So you would, because everyone's willing to give you feedback, but these are the people whose opinion and judgment you trust. And then when you are giving feedback, make sure that it's done in a timely manner, relevant to what's being discussed, in a discussion format, and in a future trend mode, so that you're clearly specifying what outcome you want. This is again a gray area, because we say this isn't good enough, and that doesn't help the person who you're giving that feedback to, because they don't know what good is to you. So the more clarity, again, my favorite word, that you can give, it helps. And the third one is empathy. We're all familiar with the term. It's being able to step in someone else's shoes, being able to understand human nature, so it allows you to understand that person's perspective, especially when it's contrary to yours. Yes. Because that's where it really comes into play.
Yeah.
And at this time in particular, empathy is a key player, because it tends to, there is a perception commonly that the people at the top, the owner, the management level, are not going to be affected in the same way that the teams might be. So when you're going to come up now with new policies, with maybe restructuring, with so many changes that are going to impact your team, it really helps if you've laid that foundation of empathy. So they know that you are connecting with them as people and seeing life through their eyes, and you're aware of the changes that they are going through. So that obviously leads to better relationships, more motivation, better productivity.
Great.
Self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy will help you in creating a resilient mindset, the ability to bounce back after an adversity and persevere. And the interesting thing is that research has shown two key variables that people with a resilient mindset have. One is strong social relationships. So if you have a group of people or one person that you can really lean on, it can make or break resilience, apparently. And so if you don't have someone like that in your life, just look for someone whose judgment you trust and ask them to mentor you. This is why people get executive coaches as well. Find somebody who can fulfill that role for you. And then the second is to identify your sense of identity and purpose. So once you find what your purpose is, then carry it out consistently. That again helps with the resilient mindset. So I think these are the key EQ related areas that would really help leaders and all of us get through this.
Yeah. Beautiful. Very, very interesting point of view. And just pitching in from the HR point of view on this topic, since you mentioned that people have a perception that people, the executives on the top or the business owners are the one who are not really going through it. But it's especially when at a time when pay cuts can happen, or people have been asked for a pay cut, or redundancy has been identified and people have been asked to leave in a certain time frame. And whether you like it or not, there are a lot of middle management and a lower middle management, and especially in the case of SMEs, it could be even the core team player who could be asked to, let go of a bit of the pay or have a pay cut. So yes, I completely, as an HR, I would like to say that this is a time for communication. It may, and why I'm saying it 3 times is because we're working from home. So, it can get amiss. And we don't have the luxury, even if we are talking like this on a Zoom call, but still, people can digress. People may not take you as seriously. So reinforcing that communication. So you speak with them before writing that email to them saying that, pay cuts are coming, but having that personal touch, having that chat. And then I really think that, because if you're talking about empathy, it's not empathy should not be that, okay, this is my brand value and I'm showcasing it. It has to be lived. It has to be real. And it will only be real if, and I'm seeing some of the very good examples of whether SMEs and other big companies, it's the top level people who are willingly, voluntarily giving a pay cut to themselves, so that, you know, the people at the managerial level or junior level, or, you know, drivers, etc., who probably would not need right now, still have their salaries or are being paid on time. So it all comes from the top, and it is not just a corporate communication, but it has to be a value that you really hold on to, and it should be assimilated into whatever you do, whether it is client communication, whether it is process, whether it is business re-engineering, or of course, you know, talking to your team members, because you're in it together. Another point that you touched upon, Bina, is that hiring of a coach. I always give that example because now I'm also a freelancer, SME. I'm not a coach, but, you know, advisor, and a lot of us here who are working as a business or management consultant. I think this is the time to really look out for people like us, for people like who are there. And a lot of us have actually reduced the fee because we understand, or probably some of them are even saying that don't pay me right now. And because we are all women here, let's also think about empathetic sisterhood. So find the people who can probably give you that kind of guidance that you need, have the ability, first of all, to give you the guidance that you need, and then give you the guidance that you need. Because, you know, like a small example, being a woman, that we all know that there are great workout tutorials on YouTube, and we can all see that and come. But when you have really a personal trainer next to you, the way you work out is not how you work out in your living room when you're looking at YouTube. So maybe when the times are tough and you have put so much of your investment, your time into your small business, it's also the time to get a coach of an area that requires, whether it is business coach or marketing coach or legal coach, or any of these leaders, advisors, so that you can help run your business properly. I think the women are kind of nodding, so I'm in the right frame here. So my question now is to you, Wendy. Things are unpredictable, and she did touch about, Bina did touch upon, you know, having the EQ at the right place, but there's also the very practical side of managing that we also have to take care of, because COVID affects business, but it also affects life. People, it's a pandemic at the end of the day. So how important is having a will, how important is having a will, for example, or guardianship document for business owners, especially women, at this time?
Okay, well, firstly, without wanting to get too gloomy and morose about things, it's really important for us all to be aware of our sort of human vulnerability and fragility at any time, in fact, not just now, but and similarly, it's important for us to have a will in place no matter which country we reside in, regardless of whether we're in the UAE or not. I think this current pandemic and what's going on around us at the moment has maybe shone a light that's previously been ignored on the reality and the fact that we have accountability to, you know, to our loved ones and to, you know, our children and our partners, you know, to take care of these issues. So now's a good time actually to really think about these things. Anyone who has children, who owns property or any substantial assets, or a business investor or owner, if you're a salaried person who has gratuity and insurance benefits, I mean, really anybody should have a will no matter where they reside. A will is the only available document which advises the courts on how to assign and distribute those assets and assign guardianship of children in the case of death or incapacity. Here in the UAE, in fact everywhere, if someone dies intestate or in the absence of a will, an administrator will be appointed by the court and the local laws of the country will be applied. So having a legally drafted and registered will makes the probate process a much more streamlined and straightforward and much faster process for the appointed executor or administrator of a will. At Bismosis, we can facilitate the drafting and attestation and registration of the will that's been legally drafted, legally drafted by in collaboration with our Ministry of Justice registered legal partners, who are one of the biggest and most acclaimed Emirati lawyers and legal consultants in the region. and then it can be registered either in the Dubai courts or in the DIFC courts. So I think it's a really important time to. It's always an important time to do it, but I think now, because we see the numbers of people that are losing their lives at the moment, and again, not to sound morbid or sullen about it, it is really brought to light that it's something that we really should consider when we have dependents and people that we would leave behind.
Yeah, I understand. Like I told you, I also work for a law firm right now. And I think a lot of, I'm sure Beenish can also add to that, that a lot of firms are actually coming up now with some discounts, etc. So to enable people to help and make their will at the comfort of their home. So if you can just probably just Google or visit Wendy's LinkedIn or Benish's LinkedIn or my LinkedIn, you can figure out that there are a lot of companies within UAE or wherever you are from who will support you, especially more so at this time, to draft your will document. And anyway, whether pandemic or no, that is, we have to, like how all of us have insurance, we should probably also have this because, anyway.
I think what's most important is, if I may add to it, is wills for sure, but complete succession planning as well. Because, for example, for Muslims, wills may not be as or wholly applicable as it is required to be. But anyway, that's too technical. But the firms right now, or other will drafting companies as well, or consultants, are actually giving out initial consultations. So like us as well, and I'm sure Wendy's also looking into this. Right now is a time, again, being empathetic, compassionate with people. And it's also a subject which requires empathy. You cannot draft a will for anyone unless you do not understand their family, their requirements, their needs, their wishes, their structure.
It's
so
very
what I suggest is,
and go from templates that they've downloaded online or whatever.
Oh yes, don't even go that route. There's no point paying that money, and then unfortunately at the time when you do need it, and it would not be helpful,
or anything like that. There's nothing to fall back on, so it's never advisable to have a templated will. It really is important to have it legally drafted by an expert in the field.
Someone who also understands, again, like the entire structure, your wishes, your requirements as well. And then you have to also be open to the person you're consulting and the expert you're consulting, so that your entire succession planning can accordingly be executed and planned as well. And this pandemic is an example of how essential things are, whether you're in the country or outside the country, because now we also have opportunities in UAE to make wills for assets outside UAE. That's a completely different subject. That's a completely different subject. But think about these things. That's what's important.
Yeah, very important. Beenish, now that we're talking with you, I would like to ask you this question. Another kind of morbid subject, but the times are such. So it's important that we're prepared for these things. And what I want to talk to you about is credit worthiness. A lot of companies at this time are suffering from poor collections, for example, or there are a lot of, there's an economic impact of this COVID-19, and it's reasonable to expect that businesses' revenue and cash flow would suffer at this point. So what are the things, like especially if you think as credit worthiness, what are the kind of clauses that you need at this time in any contract, so you can go back upon these contracts to ensure that your cash flow doesn't suffer and you still can collect money from those who owe you? So what are some tips to the business owners, legally speaking, at this time?
Sure. Thank you again, Meghna. I think this question has a lot of different aspects, so I'll try to, because we're running out of time as well. I really want to add content as well, so I'll try to touch bit by bit to all aspects. The first aspect is, you said debt collection, so that's your own company's credit worthiness as well.
Yes.
First thing that you can do is actually consult experts who are doing free initial consultations. You don't need to do anything else. But first, talk about the debts that you have. Understand what is the strategy that you can take for those debts. Because a lot of times you may have tried internally within the company or with your own accounts, you may have undertaken a lot of steps for collection of those debts, but may have been ineffective. So an expert can guide you on the right modes of collection, even if it's internally. Like as a law firm or as an expert as well, or as a legal consultant, I can tell you the first thing we do with clients is not tell them you do issue a legal notice or you file a case. We first study. If there's something that the clients can do within themselves, we advise accordingly. So as a first step, study your cases, study your own internal debts, outstandings, liabilities. Now, the other aspect that you also mentioned about creditworthiness is contracts. Now, contract means you have a lot of stakeholders with which you'll be contracting, for example, even investors, even shareholders. You have additional shareholders agreements. Then you also have service providers that you're doing contracts with. Then you have companies, affiliates who you're doing contracts with, and then you have your own clients as well. Sometimes there are clients who do not pay. Sometimes there are affiliates where you pass on businesses, but they do not pay up as well. So the most important step in that is due diligence. Whether you do it again internally or you consult an expert who does the due diligence for you, whether you do a basic due diligence or you do an extensive due diligence, but due diligence as again now, like other factors as well, become more important than anything else to understand how deep a company is or how deep an individual is and whether they can even verify what they're stating.
Sure.
So, and once you are undergoing legal due diligence, you declare to the other company that we are undertaking a due diligence because we are very much interested. And once the other company knows that there's a due diligence for the purpose of a contract, they're also willing to share documents. So like Bina said, I think trust is most important, whether it's with your employees, whether it's with your peers, whether it's with the counterparts. In all aspects of business, personal, professional life, trust is the first thing. So even if it's your counterpart that you're entering into, for the purpose of credit worthiness, undergo due diligence. And then I also suggest, like I think it was mentioned, I don't recall by who, but it was mentioned that we should have our, I think Lana, that we should have our creatives ready for when we are ready to launch. I also add to that, we all are very eager, but go slow. Because there will be people out there who may be all kinds of size of fish in the market, but you need to value yourself as well, revalue yourself and revalue the peers and counterparts as well. So understand which service provider you really want to go through. This is the time that you actually do your research for the new plans that you may have. Do the due diligence. So don't think this time will go to waste. Do that. And then, of course, the last aspect is contract, which is very important that once you enter, I may enter into a contract with you, like you're saying, you're the HR. With all respect, yes, you are the HR, but maybe you may not have an authority to sign an arbitration agreement. That's very technical, but I need to undergo and ensure in your contract that you have the due capacity to either sign or to undergo or to close a deal as well. So in terms of contractual clauses, it's very important to understand if someone is duly licensed, if their licenses have duly been renewed as well once things open up, and that they have the capacity and that they have the funds as well, and then put on the schedules and put penalties as well, even if they don't pay up or they don't add to whatever they've promised to. You need to have penalties. Business is business by the end of the day. You need to protect yourself as well, right? So these are the different aspects. I'll be happy to help out anyone in a detailed discussion if they want.
Can you hear me, everyone?
Yeah, now.
So sorry. So what I was also saying is that, yeah, great points, but we are also running out of time. I'm aware of that. And so what we'll do is that, and a lot of our audience actually have some questions too. I will probably take 2 more questions with our panel. You all would know the details that of our panelists. You can probably get in touch with them on LinkedIn. And if you have any more detailed questions, feel free to ask them. And then we will do it. And probably ItsHerWay can always bring us back again and we can answer some more questions or can, have this chat later on probably more condensed topics so that we can just contribute to that. So quickly, this next 2 questions. First one is to you, Yvonne. Most entrepreneurs or micro businesses feel that a continuity plan is not needed. So what are your thoughts on it, and how important is for SMEs or small business owners to have a continuity plan?
Okay, so when an entrepreneur is first starting up, they don't have a lot of money, and because they actually have the cost of their trade license, and if they've gone DD route, they've got local sponsors and they've got offices and things that are relevant to actually setting up. So businesses don't look at continuity plans in the beginning, disruption, emergency recovery plan of any kind, because it's not in their mind to actually go down that route. because they're more concentrating on how do they start. So new businesses are finding out the hard way now, because they've spent a little time on considering the effects of a disruption. So now this has come about. It's now, how do they mitigate this disruption? How do they sort of put stuff in place to assist them with what they're experiencing at the moment? And I would always say, try and put something like a business continuity plan in place, and this will help you prepare for any current or crisis, local, regional, and globally in the global market at the moment, because that's what you're working in your businesses to do, is actually reach out to every country you can with what you do, or keep it within the UAE. So I actually think there is some necessary steps with regards to your processes and procedures, and these need to be completed, because if you don't have them in place, one major step that is getting paid is to ensure that the invoices get sent out on time, whether it's a product or a service that you're providing. If the invoice is not sent out, then payment won't come in, as we've just discussed. So it's really important to have that process and procedures in place. So I would say that you need to look at what's happening now, and then also look at what's going to happen once you get up and running again. You need to be able to run as soon as we get started once you get back to your offices. I know that people are working at putting their processes and procedures in, because they're looking at how staff work from home. How do they monitor those staff working from home? Because that's a difficult one. Are they looking at a continuity in the way of, as we just discussed, of getting their payments paid, which was outstanding from previous contracts? So these are all things that, if their processes were in place, they would have gone through that process to actually get those things paid in time. Also with lawyer, as Beneath said, that, you know, your contracts need to have all this disturbance in it. It's crucial, because if you don't have that in, that is a get out clause for any client. I also would actually tell companies to look at another revenue stream. Is there something within your company that you can find that will bring you in another revenue? Because that's quite important. Have a look at what you're doing and see if there is something. Have a discussion with your staff and see if there's something that they can bring to the table that actually will increase your revenue. Put another process and procedure in place and give you that business continuity plan, that you have something else that you can offer the world. So yes, I think it's crucial, regardless to how big you are, how small you are. I have companies that are doing business continuity management systems now that are only 4 people in a company, but then I'm dealing with aviation, pharmaceutical, across the UAE at the moment. My staff are really busy helping companies with their continuity plans at this very moment. And if someone wants to reach out to me and say, you know, I have a problem, I'm more than happy to just go through it with you and discuss how you can actually rectify it to the best of your capability. So please, at the end, if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm more than happy to have that discussion with you to see how I can help you get back on track and see what the issues you're experiencing.
Oh, nice. So see, ladies, we have empathy right here, and a lot of support. And that is the reason why we are here together in this panel. So yes, we have to wrap it up quite fast. But before that, if I can ask the audience to please raise their hand if they have certain questions. And while they are doing so, one last question, and that is going to be a common question to the panel. Feel free to pick it up. I'm sure we all have the answer to this particular question coming from our own niche and experience. And the question that I want to put across is that, like Lana said, this is not permanent. This is temporary. So we have all made the plans right now. There is business continuity plan and how we are going to go through COVID. How is the life going to be, or how would we run our business once we are back in the office, the brick and mortar office? And what are some of the things that we need to learn from this experience and implement once we go back to kind of post-COVID era? Somebody, Wendy, would you like to start?
I mean, I think really, I mean, what I've been saying on a more personal level is that life will not go back to how it was. It's not gonna, this hopefully will have made a positive impact and change on all of us. We can't expect for this to just be over, you know, and like it never happened. You know, there will be changes. We'll still be very conscious of our health. We'll still be much more, you know, aware of the sort of social distancing, where it's going to take us a long time to get back into the normal run of things again. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I think we have all needed to become a lot more conscious. But I think in terms of our work mode or how we work, what we've learned from not being under the structure that we're used to, what have we learned about ourselves in that time? You know, maybe like I was saying earlier on about when's your most productive time of the day, you might find that actually the hours that you were putting into your work before aren't conducive and not probably the best times for you to work. You may be better working alone and not as part of a team, or vice versa. So I think when we come back to work again, we need to adopt some of the stuff that we've learned during this time.
Sure. Lana, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I was just going to say this is probably the best time to really pause and have a look at the big picture, but also to do financial scrutiny and a strategic clarity on your business. And also, as Yvonne mentioned, is how to pivot. And I think some good examples that I just wanted to quickly mention is Tips and Toes are sending out, or you can buy DIY kits, which is amazing. So you can do your nail, your hair at home. Biddy Bondi Cafe is doing a quarantine quiz to keep people engaged and keep that element of entertainment. And you have a lot of local gyms that are renting out equipment. Again, this is not a business model that they would normally hold, but they've worked out a way of how they can do it and how they can pivot. And this is really important for all businesses. Is to look at what can I change and what can I reduce in terms of costs, especially those learnings now is can you make do with something that you didn't need previously and then have savings from that as well, and is that something you can continue? And when we do go back, which we will, it will be in phases again. There will be some changes, but you know, things may slowly open, may open with restrictions, etc. And these are kind of the things that you should plan for, which is the different futures.
Sure.
Yeah. Just quickly, there will be a new normal, but we shouldn't lose the learnings that we gained along the way. So I think organizations should remember the difference from reality as it was in the performance and the importance of teams and people during this time, and not just immediately revert to as it was, but consider the new balance, as it were, in who played what role. That's one. And two is, organizations again had to rethink how they connect with their customers, and that has given a lot of new insight into what your customers are looking for. So that again is a learning to hold on to, because it will help you when you get back to connect with them at a continued deeper new level.
Yeah, very nicely put, Bina. Yvonne, would you like to add on life after?
Yes, it is going to be very different. We're not going to go back to the way it was, but maybe this is a time to reflect on the way you're running your business. Look at what you have in place against what you had, and then start work as a team with your staff. It's really important to make them feel part of what is happening. don't feel lonely being at the top, because you don't need to be lonely sitting there trying to work out what way to go as a leader, as a managing director or a senior manager. You know, there are so many members of your staff that have skill sets. Look at that. It's quite important. And reflect on, what did you do wrong before the pandemic started, and what can you do better now? Because if you put that in place in a procedure, then you're going to be running, and you'll streamline that across your company, and you will be running much smoother than you did before. You don't want non-conformities within your group. If your accounts department, the sales department doesn't speak to your accounts department, and invoices don't get issued, that is a major non-conformity. How can you sort this out now, so that when you do start business again, and hopefully you're doing business now, I'm praying and hoping that everyone is still working with their clients, because keep on constantly talking to your clients, reassuring them that you're there to assist them is really important. So still trying to make sure those revenue streams come in is the best way to sort of keep connected with your clients at the moment.
Sure. Beenish?
Sure, I think I'd add to Yvonne here. Yes, things will be very different. It's also how different you want it to be after. They're very different already right now, but how you adapt is very important. From a legal perspective, I will add that the new law has been, of course, and everybody knows the new resolution about the employees and retention of the employees in different structures in which you can retain employees. Respect the objective of that resolution, which is to actually retain employees. It's very easy to panic, and I think Bina would agree to that as well. It's very easy to panic, and as a blanket, either put all your employees on unpaid, put all your employees on partial reduction, or put all your employees on a temporary reduction of the wages. Yes, we all need to cut costs. We all need to understand and restructure, but value the resources that you have as well. Because once you actually, and I think we've all had one common aspect and conversation, that inclusion. Once you include them, you will understand, and you may actually be surprised they're willing to stand with you. So like we tell our clients, yes, legally you're also protected because you're given 5 to 6 different modes of retaining your employees. Execute those, exercise those modes before completely making an employee redundant. And even if so, respect them. There are ways to execute such actions so that later when you actually need the talent, they are available for you.
That's so true. Just to add on this, as an HR, what I would like to say is that, you know, the thing that has happened right now, you know, all your traditional matrices and assumptions are have been rendered irrelevant, to be honest. But what we can do is, of course, you know, cost cutting, etc. But even when we go back to our offices, there will be some, you know, make sure that there's enough sanitizer still. Make sure that we learn from this. You know, there is this kind of joy, if you can. There is a kind of employee engagement, no matter whatever tough times have happened and pay cuts have happened. But there is this feeling of, yes, the business is still there. Yes, we can bring it back. There has to be some kind of positivity running through, and it is mostly, you know, top driven. So if you have that energy in you, if you feel the, you know, acceptance is set in of the grief, and if you feel you can make those changes, people literally look up to you. Clients also look up to you. So if we can be that person, that lighthouse of not just hope but also action, then that will come very handy post COVID whenever we go back. And when I say handy, you know, we are also it will take some time still to shake hands, but yeah, I think there are going to be some good times there. Madhuri, I saw an audience, Madhuri Pednikar had raised her hand. So Madhuri, if you can just please ask us your question.
Hi, good morning. Hello, can you hear?
Hi, Madhuri.
Hi, good afternoon to all. Just a small question. How us as mompreneurs, we call yourself, who are handling the house and a very miniature business, survive in this situation?
Who would like to take this
uh,
question?
for marketing ourselves or trying to sell anything at all?
Lana, would you like to take this question? Mompreneurs, how do they survive in current market and how do they market themselves at this time?
Yeah. So as I discussed, there's a few channels that are still going to work. It's about being conscious about that, maximizing your networks, focusing on your existing customers, but also giving an offer that people can't resist, because people are expecting discounts and do want really good offers, so they are still willing to buy. And as I said, there's a lot of things that you can do for free, content creation, but also through your below the line marketing, sending things out to people's homes, gifting, anything that shows that you care, and find a way into their homes, which is where you're going to get your most value at the moment anyway. And about being creative as which part of your business is still relevant and how you can pivot to make sure that you kind of suit what is currently needed now, and you're not just selling the same thing that people, are just not relevant in this time. So I think just applying those, there's a lot that you can do now, but you definitely should not stop.
Just to add on to that, Madhuri, this is also a great time to, if you don't want to go through very expensive media channels, Instagram itself has seen like an upsurge of 40% more content consumption. So there are various means, use social media to the max. There are so many, talks that are going on right now. There's a lot of collaboration kind of things that you can do, which the panelists also earlier talked about. Influencer marketing as well. Choose your influencers right. They are not even charging at these times. So there is a lot of ways and means that you can go. There are some amazing Facebook groups as well, where women support women, and people are like, even the small businesses are right now supporting other small businesses. So if you just look for it and don't feel hesitant to ask for help, and like Beenish said, take pride in what you do, there are ways and means to market it and hold on to your business and probably grow it. Who knows? Any other question? Ambika. Hi, Ambika.
Hello, I just wanted to share that for
Hi, Ambika. I think we lost Ambika. If she can be added again, please. Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Ambika.
I just wanted to share one of the positive effects that it has had on me with working from home is saving time on travel and engaging in activities or hobbies that I always wanted to and I didn't have time for before. I can utilize that little extra time just for myself and feel good, because it can be a little bit monotonous, traveling every day, sitting on a desk, coming back home, and the same thing. And there are different things we can do now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Wendy did cover this a bit. Wendy, if you just want to add a line to this of the realization that Ambika has had, that the good side of working from home.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying that it's really, really important for us to understand, like really, really think about it. What are the benefits? When somebody asks you that question, you maybe haven't thought about it. And there may be some real benefits to being to working from home, managing your own time, learning a lot about your own work style, and, just being grateful for the, I guess, the flexibility, or, it's different for everyone. But yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Thank you, Ambika, for the question. There's one, Shweta Agrawal would like to ask a question to all panelists. Can we add Shweta?
While we wait for Shweta, I just wanted to add to what Wendy said, and it applies to Madhuri's question as well. This time could be used to build your visibility and to do what you couldn't do when you were too busy selling, or too busy actually in the process of running your business. So for some people, it's finding time to do a hobby. As a business owner, for me personally, it's something that I'd put on hold. And now I find that this time has freed up so much time for me to sit and build on my content and just,
Sure.
visibility in general.
Yep, that's true. Shweta Agrawal, would you like to ask our panelists the question?
Yeah, so my question is, as it is, we see that the number of women-owned businesses is very less in UAE. And do you think this pandemic is going to take us further back? And it will be even more challenging for women to start their own businesses after all this has happened. And how can ItsHerWay support women post the pandemic in taking up the challenge of starting their business?
Armin, if you can just show yourself, this is a question I think you should answer, because she is asking if how will ItsHerWay help the women entrepreneur post-COVID. There
Hi.
she is. Big round of applause for Armin, the lady who's powered
Hello,
this
ladies.
entire, who's been like sitting, not showing her face yet, but managing, holding all her strings there. So yes, hi Armin.
Thank you, Meghna. Hello, good afternoon. I would just want to say that thank you for this question, Shweta. We, as ItsHerWay, are going through the same journey as all our shepreneurs are going through. Every single one of them. We have about 300 shepreneurs registered on ItsHer store, and we've also launched a new website, which is itsherskill.com, which is for freelance marketeers who provide services. Now, that bit is also something that we want to push further during these times to support and help as many women who are understanding the value of taking their businesses online right now. So there are two key things that we're going to do very, very actively in the next couple of months. One is we will support every single small and micro business owner woman who, you know, used to be very, very successfully selling her products, as well as, let's say, services, a few of them, throughout these weekend markets, the Ripe markets, the Arte markets, and, you know, the community markets. We are giving them free memberships, and we're giving them our portal to access and our e-commerce platform free of cost for the next 6 months till the end of the year. And that's a big help. That should be a big help for them. We're also doing these sessions, more of these sessions that we just had, so that we can help them, you know, understand the importance of being online. If you haven't been online yet, the presence, the fact that you should, and all of the things that you would want, all the daunting things that you would not have as a startup or as someone who's not familiar with the online space, we have it for you. So you just have to sign up and start selling. It's really, really important. Don't think that you're alone. Don't think that you're, you know, in any way doomed or something. We're here. We're going to make it work, and we're going to make it work together. So that's all I want to say to every entrepreneur that's there. And obviously these women, these lovely women who've at such short notice, you know, contributed to this panel. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. I'm sure all of them are here. They will also help us through this journey, and we are all going to be helping each other as well. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
That's my end note as well, Meghna, so you don't need to call me again.
All right, but yeah, just to cat on, there's one nice Lana has actually shared a very beautiful quote here. It's called "Productivity is about the degree of presence." Lana, if you can just quickly sum it up, what about this quote?
Yeah, so I think I just wanted people to also realize, you know, there are no schedules, and if there is, sometimes it's okay that you don't follow them. Do enjoy being at home, enjoy being with the kids, get to know them better. And we said, you know, some people are working harder than they've ever worked before as well. But really, this time is about being present, taking it all in, and that for me, as Alan Watts says, is the degree of success. Is how much time and attention and focus you give, whether it's to work or to home and the kids.
That's true. That's very beautiful. Any last comment or question about this webinar from our panelists here? How was your experience? And like Armin said, is there anything that you would like to offer these audiences who actually spend a lot of time with us? Thank you so much for listening to us. It's been 90 minutes almost. And that means that, first of all, I feel very proud that I'm part of this panel that contributed to your attention. I mean, we could hold your attention for that long in this time with so many notifications coming from all corners. And I believe a lot of us are busy moms, so it's not easy to actually be watching a webinar for that long. You could have probably seen my daughter coming in between. So thank you so much for your attention, everyone who watched this. And my panelists, if you can please give a parting note or where they can find you, and what are the things you can probably help our shepreneurs with?
If you don't mind, I just wanted
Sure,
to mention that we ran out of time, and I wasn't able to talk about one of the things that I had wanted to mention today. It was very fulfilling webinar, of course. Is just that for people who have a business or who want to start a business, there are a lot of options out there at the moment that are incredibly affordable. There's great payment options. We cover all of the free zones and all of the economic department jurisdictions. So if anybody wants some advice or some information, please reach out to me at Bizmosis or my team, and we'll be more than happy to give you some advice on what options are out there. I think a lot of people don't know that when they're stuck in a business and they don't know how to, stuck in a business, but they have a business and they don't know how to reduce their costs, and there are options, and if anyone needs any advice on that, then I'm more than happy to help at any time.
Thank you,
I
Wendy.
think I'll add to Wendy there. I completely agree. There are a lot of options out there. A lot of authorities have also reduced costs. They've also exempted a lot of costs. It's about reaching out again to the right expert and to understand what you need and how is it that you can do that. Even in terms of renewals, they've reduced a lot of costs.
Yes.
So I think Wendy's made a very good offer. What I can add to that is in terms of all your legal requirements, whether it's any contracts that you have to sign, contracts that you have had previously signed and are not being fulfilled in terms of debt collection, in terms of any notices that you may want to send out to anyone. But any consultation, I'm happy to do a free initial consultation. You can either call me directly, reach out, email any one of us. We're also all part of a women-only group, so it applies to that as well. Anybody who may later also be seeing this recording. What I also suggest is, I think us and a lot of other people out there and experts out there have special packages for startups and SMEs. So I know that we ourselves, and I had that startup and SME package. So again, people may think that law firms or law firms located in a particular location are fancy and are expensive. No, we actually do understand. We are able to understand what you want, to take care of you, and to give you something that you can actually utilize over a longer period of time. And like all companies who have launched different options and different packages for a few months, law firms are also doing that. Like us, we're also doing that. So we also have started packages which are applicable for utilization for the whole year as well. Reach out. I'm happy to help, happy to do an initial consultation. And I think we're all happy to guide anybody who needs.
Sure we are. Yvonne, any last
comment? My advice to everyone is actually to go to the experts for this advice. So if there is people in this panel that you really need to talk to, then make contact with us. I am more than happy to talk to anyone that has any of their processes or procedures that are not working for them, and I can actually have a look at them for them and guide them. I'm more than happy to do that. So please get in contact with me. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm very visible in the UAE, so I'm more than happy to advise with anything that is becoming very problematic to you. So please, I know I'm saying this on behalf of the panelists here, that we wouldn't have come on today unless we felt that we could help you. Sure. So we're here for you, and please stay at home and stay safe. That is the most important thing I can say to you. Follow what the government is telling us. Do not look at the news. Follow the government. It's so important.
So true. Very
true.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a business owner or an executive and you are feeling alone and unsure, and the pressure of being the lighthouse for the rest of your team is getting to you, do get in touch. That's what I'm here for. And my purpose is to help others find their purpose and to rise to their highest level. You can find me anywhere with coachbina.com. That's BINA. And my website is coachbina.com as well. And again, yes, Yvonne, you said it. I think I end every normal conversation with, please stay at home. It's not a punishment. We're doing this to help each other get through this. And I think, yeah, it's just being responsible and supporting the world in getting through this quickly. So yes, stay safe, everyone. Stay at home.
Sure. Lana?
Yes, I'm more than happy as well to give any business advice, marketing advice, any kind of questions, ideas, anything that you want to run past me. Also my business partner, who's also female. So we're absolutely more than happy to do that for the rest of the ladies out there. I think our details will be sent as well, but you can definitely find us at Kite Partners. And just, no question is a silly question. So just feel free to come have a chat.
Nice. From my end, I think I can help you in 3 ways, probably, because one, as an influencer, you can get in touch with me or see my content, because I'm a content creator. So you can probably follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and my page is called Love Life Little One. That's also the website, lovelifelittleone.com. I work a lot with mompreneurs, and I'm trying my best to promote them as much as I can. I have around 25,000 followers across the media, Instagram itself around 21,000. So yeah, so if you think that it's a product or a service that you want to reach through an UAE based kind of an audience, primarily moms, then I'll be very happy to take a look at it and see how best I can promote it for you. Secondly, as an HR advisor to the SMEs, and not just HR ops, but also a cross-functional business advice, because that's what I've done and that's what I'm doing. I'll be happy to listen to you and advise you. I'm a freelancer, I don't have a company, but I can help you with making some crucial decisions at this time, whether it is redundancies or pay cuts or culture setting post-COVID. I will be happy to take a look at it and advise you to the best of my capacity. Thirdly, I've been told that I'm a very good, I make people happy. So just a girly talk, if you just want to chit chat and say, what's up, Meghna, I'll be very happy to answer. Hang in there. So you can do that too. Mostly free for chit chats later in the night. So, so that's a good time to catch me on. Just to summarize what we went through, and I wrote some things. So I would like to read it out. Armin, am I permitted to kind of end? And then of course you can end it. So yes, the quarantine won't last forever. We won't speculate too much about when the end of this period will come. But by all guidance, we are expecting to emerge from quarantine or quarantine, people are calling it different things, sometime this year, and it better be this year. We encourage you to prepare for the transition thoughtfully and proactively and gracefully. During time like these, we are reminded that the stakes of business are not life or death. But we are also reminded that feeling productive and feeling like we add value to the world is very meaningful. No matter how small that is, no matter, how trivial it may look like. You may call your business as a hobby, but it is very meaningful. So take pride in what you do. We are aware that many people who rely on this feeling may have lost it suddenly or may feel unmoved by what's going on, and our hearts are with them. And I'm talking for all the panelists here, and that's a reason, like Yvonne said, we took a decision to come here this afternoon. So if it could probably motivate even a little bit, even one person out of, I don't know, whoever, how many ever attended, it made our day meaningful today. But the very fact that you're here, listening to this conversation, taking notes, showing your determination and will to succeed in your business, with your business, you are making your dreams become goals. And I'm sure with ItsHerWay, you will be very soon achieving it. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for doing this with me. I hope I asked the questions that you were happy to answer. And thank you, ItsHerWay, the whole team. I know you guys worked a lot in the background to get us all together, to guide us with this. A lot of us are in fact doing it probably the first time with all the Zoom and every technical setting, everything. Thank you for that hand-holding. Thank you for making this sisterhood kind of a place. And I'm feeling so good today that we have done this. And like Beenish said, we are all in this together. We are all available in our own way. And all you have to do is reach out through ItsHerWay or even personally. And you will get to hear from us. And I'm sure there are many more people like us out there as well. So of course, talk to us, but there are more. So on that note, thank you so much. And what a beautiful afternoon it has been. Thank you.
Thank you.
Armin.
Thank you, Meghna. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening in and watching us. I'd like to thank you all again and have a good evening.